We have all played it, or we have all watched our children play it. The December church pageant, staged in a basement with bathrobed shepherds and angels in tinfoil halos. In the middle of the scene is the innkeeper, usually an 8-year-old boy, told to say his line firmly and without smiling. He shuts a cardboard door on Mary and Joseph, telling them there is no room. This is one of the most familiar scenes in all of Christianity. We can see it in our minds without any effort at all. But when we read what the author Luke actually wrote, we find a different story. In the original text, there is no innkeeper. There is no panicked knocking, there are no refusals, and no reluctant arrangement made for a stable around back. Without that core conflict at the door, the most common visual we associate with the Nativity begins to dissolve. We've inherited a picture of a medieval roadside lodge, with a creaking sign and a detached wooden barn out back. We imagine the animals standing in the cold, breathing visible breath into the night air. That imagery wasn't derived from the text. Renaissance painters and medieval pageant writers projected the architecture of their own world onto the story, drawing the coaching inns and thatched barns they saw in their own villages. Stripping away these centuries of European projection allows us to search for the physical reality of the first Christmas. The entire misunderstanding rests on a single Greek word, kataluma. This is the word traditionally translated in our Bibles as inn. To describe a commercial roadside inn, like in the Good Samaritan parable, Luke uses the word pandakeion, a public business run by an innkeeper. But here, Luke uses kataluma, a guest room, a separate space inside a private house for visiting relatives. Joseph was returning to his ancestral town, the home of his clan. He wasn't a stranger looking for a hotel. He was returning to his family's house to use their guest room. In the first century, Bethlehem was a dense village of interconnected families. Because of the census, the town was full of returning relatives, and the specific guest rooms in these family homes were already occupied. A typical peasant home featured one raised main room where the family lived. Attached at a lower level was a space for the family's animals. Mangers were carved directly into the stone wall, dividing the living space from the animals. Since the guest room was full, Mary and Joseph stayed in the main living area with the rest of the family. When the baby came, Mary wrapped him in swaddling cloths and laid him in the most convenient place to set a sleeping infant, the manger. Jesus was born in the middle of a warm, crowded household, not in an isolated barn on the edge of town. The myth of the full inn changes the story into a melodrama about human rejection. It suggests the world refused to let the Savior in. This narrative is often used to frame Christmas as a question of human decency, asking if we will make room in our hearts or turn him away like the innkeeper did. That focus makes the arrival of God contingent on a human decision to open the door. The actual text describes an act of divine condescension. God did not stand on the outside of human life waiting for an invitation. He took up residence in the most ordinary domestic space available. In the Greek, the verbs are active. He assumed human nature, he was born, he truly suffered. These are actions God took rather than permissions he waited for. By entering the crowded center of a family home instead of a commercial inn, the gospel bypasses the gatekeeper entirely. His arrival was not dependent on a welcome. It was an unstoppable entry into the middle of human life.